Something is happening right now. It moves in silence. It reshapes hearts while the world is distracted. Most people pass through their days unaware that an invisible line is being drawn across the earth. A line that cannot be seen with human eyes, but that separates quietly, gently, decisively. There is a shaking that does not break walls, a fire that does not burn buildings, a wind that does not touch the skin, yet it reaches the deepest places of the soul. Many feel unrest without knowing why. Others feel a strange peace that does not come from comfort. The world continues loud, illuminated, crowded with voices, yet within many hearts there is either a growing light or a deepening shadow. What is happening now is not chaos. It is preparation. There is a mystery hidden in plain sight, sealed inside words spoken long ago, waiting for a generation that would live them. The separation does not begin with nations. It begins in secret places, in choices made when no one sees, in desires whispered in the dark, in idols quietly protected behind religious language. Some gather weekly in crowded sanctuaries while their inner rooms remain empty. Others feel abandoned, stripped of false securities, yet are being clothed with something eternal. This is the invisible phenomenon, a quiet division, not between churches, not between denominations, but between those who still hear the voice and those who learn to live without it. Light is moving through familiar rooms, exposing dust long ignored. Darkness is no longer violent, it is subtle, warm, persuasive. It no longer threatens, it comforts. Silence has become louder than sermons. Many hearts are being weighed not by public devotion, but by secret hunger. The world accelerates, but eternity whispers. Some are numb, anesthetized by routine and noise. Others are restless, unable to return to sleep. They feel something approaching, but cannot yet name it. The air is heavy with mercy and decision at the same time. What seems like confusion is actually alignment. This is not coincidence. It is not a random shift of times or emotions. It is a prophetic movement beneath the surface of ordinary life. What was spoken in shadow now unfolds in daylight. What was hidden between the lines now presses against the present moment. The division is not loud, but it is precise. It does not come with announcements, but with invitations. And soon, the voice that once warned through stories and parables will be heard again with clarity by those who chose to listen. The mystery is unfolding. The warning is awakening. And the moment that was described long ago is drawing near. What you have just felt is not emotion alone. It is the echo of a division already in motion. An unease that does not come from fear, but from awakening. A whisper inside the soul that says something is changing, and it is changing now. Into this silent movement, the voice of Jesus rises with timeless clarity. He did not speak to satisfy curiosity about the future. He spoke to awaken sleeping hearts. He warned of ordinary days filled with distractions, of people planting and building, celebrating and planning, unaware that the decisive hour was approaching. He spoke of lamps that would look identical on the outside, yet only some would still carry oil within. He spoke of servants who would grow confident, assuming delay meant permission to grow careless. His warnings were not wrapped in terror, but in mercy. They were not meant to frighten, but to keep the heart alive. And today, those words are no longer distant echoes. They are mirrors. Churches grow, stages shine, messages multiply. Yet many hearts grow dry while praising with their lips. Comfort has replaced consecration. Activity now often stands where intimacy once lived. Many say they are well, while their spiritual senses grow dull. There is a generation that knows how to speak about God, but has forgotten how to wait in His presence. They are full of explanations, yet empty of trembling. The invisible phenomenon deepens here, not in open rebellion, but in spiritual numbness dressed as normal life. Jesus warned of a time when deception would feel gentle, when false peace would feel safe. when many would assume readiness simply because they avoided obvious darkness. But readiness is not measured by what we avoid. It is measured by what we seek. He described a narrow readiness, not narrow in love, but in devotion. A readiness that cannot be borrowed at the last moment. A fire that must be kept alive long before midnight arrives. A watchfulness that is not anxious, but faithful. Today, the fulfillment unfolds quietly. The streets are full. The schedules are packed. The screens never go dark. Yet many souls no longer recognize the weight of eternity. They postpone surrender as if time were guaranteed. They assume tomorrow will always arrive. This is the false comfort, believing that delay means safety. But delay is not cancellation. Patience is not absence. The silence of heaven is not indifference. It is invitation. This is the warning Jesus planted within ordinary stories. Not date and hour, but posture and heart. Not timelines, but vigilance. The alert is not written in the sky. It is written in the conscience. And right now, across homes, across nations, across unseen rooms of the soul, the warning is being heard again. Softly, urgently, personally. This is the alert, and it is happening now. The season of testing does not arrive with thunder. It comes like a quiet narrowing of the path. What once felt wide becomes precise. What once felt crowded becomes lonely. Many experience loss without understanding its purpose. Relationships shift, comforts fade, certainties dissolve. It feels like stripping, like winter inside the chest. But this is not abandonment, this is refinement. Gold is not shaped by applause, it is shaped by fire. What cannot endure the flame was never meant to remain. In this hidden work of God, titles lose weight, appearances fall away. What remains is what is true. Some discover that their strength was built on noise. When the noise is removed, they feel undone. Others discover that their faith was built in secret, and when silence comes, their roots go deeper. This is how the refining separates what shines from what only shimmered. Long ago, while the world ignored the warning, hands quietly built an ark in obedience. While cities continued in normal rhythm, one family learned how to listen when no one else would. Others once ran from evil so urgently that they left everything behind, even familiarity, even comfort. These were not stories of rejection. They were stories of preservation. Every true deliverance first looks like loss. Every true calling first feels like isolation. There is a wind that is shaking what can be shaken. It is not meant to destroy the faithful. It is meant to remove what cannot survive the coming weight of glory. There is a fire that is touching motives, not actions. Not what you do, but why you do it. Not what you show, but what you protect. The silence has become part of the process. In it, false voices fade. In it, the true voice grows clearer. In it, the soul learns again how to kneel without being seen. If you feel misunderstood in this season, you are not alone. If you feel as though old supports have been quietly removed, you are not forgotten. This is what happens when you are being prepared, not discarded. When the crowd disperses, the calling becomes sharper. When approval disappears, purpose becomes heavier. Refinement always feels like exposure before it feels like elevation. Do not confuse the pruning with punishment. Do not call rejection what is actually protection. The vine is not being cut to die, but to bear a deeper fruit. Strength is being taught in the dark. Faith is being trained where no one applauds. Endurance is being forged in quiet rooms where tears fall without witnesses. Hold fast. Do not return to old comforts that once quieted your hunger. Do not trade fire for familiarity. The process is not meant to be easy. It is meant to make you ready. What is being purified now is what will endure when everything else falls away. And this refining is only the beginning of the final proving. The greatest deceptions rarely announce themselves with darkness. They arrive wrapped in comfort. They speak softly. They borrow the language of faith while draining its power. They do not push souls away from God violently. They lull them to sleep gently. This is the most dangerous hour, when danger no longer feels like danger at all. The enemy no longer needs to frighten the world. He only needs to distract it. He no longer needs to convince people to reject God. He only needs to persuade them that tomorrow is sufficient. A false sense of readiness spreads like a soft blanket over weary hearts. Many believe they are awake while their oil slowly runs out. Many believe they are rich while their inner life grows thin. Many believe they see clearly while their spiritual sight fades without resistance. There was once a warning hidden inside a simple journey. A city was marked for judgment, yet even as fire approached, hesitation lingered. A life looked back longingly at what was familiar, and in that single backward glance, destiny froze. The danger was not open rebellion, it was attachment. There was another moment when 10 waited through the same long night. All grew tired, all slept. All looked alike in the darkness, but only half had prepared in secret for the delay. When the sudden cry interrupted the night, it was not the sleep that separated them. It was what they had carried quietly long before the cry was heard. There was also a time when a prosperous community believed itself safe, satisfied, lacking nothing. From the outside it appeared vibrant, successful, blessed. But heaven saw a different reality beneath the surface, a nakedness hidden by activity, a blindness hidden by confidence. Comfort had become their trap. Self-sufficiency had become their chains. They no longer needed mercy because they believed they had already arrived. This is how deception works in its final form, not by denying the truth but by replacing dependence with self-contentment. The lullaby of this hour is subtle. It says, rest now, there is time. It says, you are already fine. It says, others may need vigilance, but not you. It says, delay your surrender, your discipline, your repentance. Tomorrow will still exist. But this voice never speaks about eternity. It only speaks about convenience. False readiness is dangerous because it feels so reasonable. It wears religious language without carrying spiritual weight. It knows the songs but has forgotten the silence. It attends gatherings but avoids the inner room. It measures life by activity instead of by intimacy. It resists extremes and calls fire unnecessary. It avoids hunger and calls it imbalance. Now is the hour for honest examination, not of behavior alone, but of affection. Not of routine, but of devotion. Not of what is avoided, but of what is desired. What steals your tears? What dulls your urgency? What quietly replaces your first love without protest? Awake before comfort becomes a cage. Awake before confidence becomes blindness. Awake while mercy still whispers and the door of grace still stands open. The final proving is not loud, it is gentle. And those who sleep through it will not realize what they have missed until the sound they ignored becomes the sound they can no longer catch. The oil that sustains the flame is not gathered in public applause. It is gathered in hidden places. It grows in quiet obedience, in surrendered will, in hearts that still know how to bow when no one is watching. Vigilance in this hour is not frantic movement. It is steady devotion. It is learning again how to listen before speaking, how to wait without rushing, how to obey without needing recognition. Prayer becomes less about words and more about posture. Fasting becomes less about discipline and more about hunger for what truly satisfies. Confession becomes not a ritual of guilt, but a doorway back into light. The soul is kept awake not by noise, but by intimacy. There is a difference between religious motion and living connection. One performs, the other breathes. One repeats, the other responds. Many have learned how to maintain a form of faith without sustaining the fire of love, But the flame only lives where the heart is exposed. The flame only grows where surrender is daily. In this hour, the call is not to do more, but to return deeper, to replace hurry with stillness, to trade impression for truth, to allow the Spirit to cleanse not only the visible life, but the hidden motives beneath it. There was a man who lived surrounded by noise and ambition. His days were crowded with urgency and reward, yet each evening a quiet ache followed him home. One night, when the familiar distractions no longer comforted him, he knelt for the first time, without an agenda, no performance, no script, only honesty. That night marked the beginning of a different life. His world did not change instantly, but his center did. The oil was restored where no one could see. There was a woman who carried secret guilt like a stone in her chest. Outwardly, she was faithful in every visible way. Inwardly, she lived imprisoned by what she had never confessed. When the fear of exposure finally broke under the weight of mercy, she spoke the truth in trembling. What she expected to destroy her instead released her. The flame that returned to her heart burned cleaner than before. Light replaced what shame had hidden. There was a younger soul who felt abandoned when familiar supports fell away. Friends moved on. Opportunities closed. The silence became heavy, but in that solitude, a new dependence formed, a faith no longer borrowed from others, but born in tears and waiting. What felt like loss became the soil of calling. What felt like separation became the place where purpose grew roots. This is how the oil is renewed in this hour, not through spectacle but through surrender, not through public intensity but through private obedience, not through perfection but through repentance that stays soft. The flame is not sustained by frenzy, it is sustained by faithfulness. Do not despise the small returns. Do not underestimate the power of quiet decisions. Every hidden prayer that no one applauds adds oil. Every resisted temptation adds oil. Every moment of choosing humility over pride adds oil. Every act of forgiveness that costs the ego adds oil. Every honest confession that risks reputation adds oil. The vessel is filled drop by drop, and this is mercy. The separation itself is mercy. The testing is mercy. The shaking is mercy. It reveals before the final moment what must still be surrendered. It exposes what would later become loss. It invites before the door closes. The refining is not meant to wound you. It is meant to prepare you. The invitation remains open. The oil can still be gathered. The flame can still be strengthened. And those who respond now will not respond in fear, but in readiness when the final sound rises. This is not punishment. This is mercy moving at the speed of eternity. What feels like delay has been space for repentance. What feels like silence has been an open door. What feels like separation has been invitation. Even now, grace still stands at the threshold of the heart, calling softly, patiently, relentlessly. The time has not been wasted. It has been given. The hour is quiet, but it is heavy with meaning. The days still look ordinary to the distracted eye, yet the wise feel the weight beneath the surface. The world continues to celebrate, to race, to build, and to forget. But beneath the noise, something sacred is nearing its appointed moment. The bridegroom is closer than the sleeping world imagines. The warning has been spoken. The oil has been offered. The door of readiness stands open still. The time is short. The mercy is great. The invitation is real. The time is short. The mercy is great. The invitation is real. The time is short. The mercy is great. The invitation is real. What is coming is not meant to terrify the faithful. It is meant to fulfill their hope. Those who have learned to wait in the dark will recognize the light when it rises. Those who have chosen the hidden place will not fear the sudden call. Those who have kept their flame alive in quiet rooms will not be shocked by the trumpet of eternity. Stay awake, not in fear, but in love. Stay pure, not in pride, but in humility. Stay ready, not in panic, but in faith. Let the heart remain soft. Let the conscience remain tender. Let repentance remain near. Let prayer remain more than words. Let devotion remain deeper than routine. Do not allow yesterday's fire to become today's memory. Do not allow tomorrow's hope to replace today's obedience. This hour does not demand perfection. It demands devotion. If you feel weak, you are still invited. If you feel late, the door is still open. If you feel afraid, mercy still speaks. If you feel unworthy, grace still covers. The final moment does not belong to those who appear strong. It belongs to those who chose to remain faithful when no one was watching. It belongs to those who kept the flame alive when the night grew long. It belongs to those who loved the coming King more than the comfort of the world. The night is deep, the oil is precious, the call will be sudden. The night is deep, the oil is precious, the call will be sudden. The night is deep, the oil is precious, the call will be sudden. Do not sleep in the hour of decision. Do not trade eternity for distraction. Do not silence the whisper that calls you back to the secret place. What is about to be revealed will not be negotiated in public. It will be answered by private devotion. The mystery is no longer hidden. The warning has been released. The separation has already begun. And mercy is still calling. Stay awake. Stay faithful. Stay ready.